So I'm just going to give you some pointers for this week's Hurricane Lab. So what you'll see here is I've downloaded the two different files that I'd like you to use. One over here on the left is called Temperature Anomalies, and the other one is the Hurricane Lab. When you import the anomalies, it's going to be loaded already, so you might see something weird like this, and it might come in where all the information is already given to you. We're not going to use that till the second half of the lab, so either you can wait to download it, or if you do both, you just want to uncheck it so that that information is not in your way. And then what we'll do when we investigate these three hurricanes is we'll take a look at the information that's in there. So if we check the box, it'll check everything in the folder here, and then we want to see what Rita looks like, so we're going to double click on the little Rita icon there, and you should see a bunch of dots that come up here and the word Rita 2005. And so what it's asking you to do is, if you come look at these little dots and click on them, there's additional information that pops up. And most of them just contained wind speed and pressure. And it asks you to start, I believe, at number 11. And you work your way through these to figure out where's the highest wind speed and the different pressures. And then you can use the chart provided to determine what category, because we're basing it on wind. There's a question about this spot here in Louisiana. And one of the questions is asking you about the elevation. So remember that your cursor will tell you what the elevation is, right where the little hand is. So if you look to the bottom right, I'll scoot over there right here, it's going to tell me the elevation. If you're not seeing that, it just says 0. You got to come over here to the bottom left, and this terrain button needs to be checked in order for that to be true, that it'll give us the elevations. So we can look at this little town here and estimate the elevation of different parts of the town by moving our cursor around. So that'll probably take you through the first hurricane that I want you to look at. So you can uncheck that and then kind of condense it. You can zoom back out, or we'll check Katrina here. We'll open it up. There's a little more information here. If we double click on Katrina, it should also give us the dots associated with the Katrina path. And once again, you can zoom in a little bit and you'll pick the points, and it'll give you some additional information. Every once in a while, when it makes landfall in certain places, it'll give you additional information about storm surge and things like that. And then, of course, it's asking you for Katrina to make a few stops here. So stop 1, 2, and stop 3. So, of course, you can double click those and take that in. Now, when I first did this, I had a little issue, but it seems to be working now. So what you can see here is there's been a hurricane damage. All this has been destroyed. And it's asking you to identify where the storm surge went. So hopefully you can see there's kind of a debris line. And that is, as the surge pushed in and it took away all the buildings and structures, it piled up this basically wall or pile of debris. And so we can hold our cursor over that area and estimate how deep the water was potentially. Because if you're up at 20 feet and there's a storm surge pushing debris there, then it had to be at least 20 feet high to get it up to that elevation. And then, of course, you can stop at 2 and 3. There's also a place where I want you to look at this flooded area for Katrina. And you can see that it's highlighted here. And what it wants you to do is determine the square miles, so the area. So we're going to measure that with our measuring tool here. We can bring it up. It might default for you to this line. We want the polygon because, voila, it gives us the area. Make sure you have this in square miles. And what you're going to do is you're going to click, 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 and it'll just keep drawing a line until you complete it, whether it's a circle or a square or something weird. So you can start in a corner, go here, and, as accurate as you can. So that's okay that it cuts across there a little bit. We'll do a little of this. So this is the idea as you go along here, to be as accurate as you can, right? And so You want to clean this up by clicking here, clicking here, clicking here, and go there, and then you'll have a final area, and that's just the value. So it's kind of useful in Google Earth to give us areas fairly quickly by just drawing those polygons, so you can do that part. What else? And then same thing, when you're done, you can uncheck that. Oops, go back to Harvey, check that. We can get rid of our measuring tool, open up the Harvey profile, double click Harvey. Same thing, you're going to go through and look at the data points for Harvey, and you can click those and get some information about it. There's some other information about some locations. There is, oops, we're not in stops there, so Harvey is just here. I don't think there's anything additional with the Harvey, so that's it. So you go through that, and then you're done with this first KMZ file. And then you will work your way to the temperature anomalies. So all you're going to do there is you can uncheck these because you don't need them. You're going to expand the temperature anomalies here. Oh golly. And you're going to just, every time you click on one of these dots here, you're going to get some information about the temperature in the area. So remember, the reds are hot and the blues are cold. And so it'll ask you to evaluate, either a year, so you can click that particular year, or it might ask for a decade, so you might have to cruise through the 2000s to see, what's the hottest year during the 2000s, or what's the hottest year here. So the good news is, I think if you'll see, most of them are just multiple choices, so you can check all 4 of those and then pick which one you think is, the best or the worst or things like that. So that shouldn't be too challenging for you. Just remember, like I said, when you first start up, you'll want to make sure that that's unchecked and turned off so that it doesn't obscure the other data. But other than that, it's a fairly straightforward lab. Hopefully you won't have too much trouble with it. Just follow kind of the guidelines of checking and unchecking, double clicking to get the data to show up and to go to those locations. And remember that your hover here gives you elevation as long as you have the terrain button checked. Then it can tell you the elevation where you put your little cursor there. So hopefully that helps, and the lab will be a piece of cake. All right.